Good day. Today we have a sheet to analyze, and this is made in collaboration with Riser. And today my name is Monica. So let's do this. So for the baseline calculations, we have Laevatain, Ardalia, Wolfguard, and Akekuri. And Laevatain is using an Umbral Torch Potential 1. For the gear, she's using Tidefold Armor, Hotwork Gauntlet, and 2 pyrometers, and this is her DPS that will be used to compare with other DPS situations that is considered in the sheet. So for the simple energy rotation, we have Akekori's skill, then it triggers Wolford combo, that triggers Akekori's skill. We are going to end with 3 hit inflictions, and Laevaitain's 5 normal attacks will convert those into 3 magma stacks. Then when Laevatain does her 5th normal attack string, she triggers Ardelia combo because there is no more infliction on the enemy. And now, later, when the corrosion pops after Laevatain does her 2nd and 5, she will trigger her combo, which gives her energy and another magma stack. And when Laevatain uses her skill, she gains even more energy. And that simple rotation amounts to around 150 energy, and you have to do it twice before you get her ult. And for her basic ult rotation, we are assuming that she will only do 3 normal attack strings, so 3 and 4s, and then later she will use her enhanced basic skill. So very big disclaimer here, we only assume that Laevatain only contributes to damage, so Wolfguard and Akekuri and Ardelia's contribution is to be ignored. So for the weapon comparisons, we have here these. So I have included Umbral Torch Potential 0 because not many of us will get Potential 5 later on. So, but due to the Battle Pass, you should get Potential 5 in under like 3 Battle Passes because we get 2 Battle Pass weapons each rotation. And for the Potential 1 Forgebond's Cut, you can see that it's 40% stronger than Potential 1. But when we have now considered a Potential 5 Umbral Torch, we would get roughly 217. We would roughly get about a 25% increase from Umbral Torch Potential 5 to Forgebond's Cut Potential 1. So I've also included White Knight Nova, Fort Maker, and Wave Tide. But usually we will ignore them because we have the Umbral Torch from the Battle Pass, unless you are willing to use 2 of the Battle Pass selectors for the other 2 Battle Pass weapons. Now for the gear comparisons, we have 3 main sets that we tried to analyze. We have the 3 times Hotworks plus Tidefall Armor, which is the baseline. So I've named here Standard and the 207.7% ult build, which consists of Tidefall Armor, Zero Night Gloves, and 2 Redeemer Seals with Intellect main stat, because in this set of rotation, instead of doing this 2 times, we can get Laevatain ult up with just 1 rotation of this. And for the other part, we have used the double slab, which consists of Tidefall Armor, a Heartwork Gauntlet, and 2 Link Slabs, which gives a lot of main stat increase. So for the Umbral Torch Potential 0 rather, we have seen here that Slab is slightly behind Umbral Torch, and the ult spam is kind of being not in the lead right now because of the lower damage, because these 2 do not give damage percent, while the Link Slab gives some main stat increases, so you have more damage to deal with. And the DPS during ult, which is as I said 3 and 4s and 1 EBS or enhanced basic skill, leads to this. We have a less DPS during ult for the slab because we have more consistent damage when we are not in the ult stage. Also follows that with the Forgeborn, we can see here that while the ult spam was performing worse, it has now climbed up steadily because Forgeborn gives some more damage for fire damage dealt compared to Umbral Torch, and we get more damage percent from basic attacks after casting an ult. So we can see here that the numbers slightly climb up. And for another frame of reference, so what if we put Forgeborn in a potential 5 instance? We can see here that the ult spam has now catch up. It has now been for the lack of a better term, steadily climbing because the triple hot works, gives some damage percent, fire damage percent, and skill damage percent, which is not bad. But when we have something that does not have a lot of damage percent, the increase the wait. Oh my god. The relative damage increase is higher because we don't have existing damage percent to add up with the extra damage percent that is coming from Forgeborn ult. Okay, you can try to read the notes here, but I will just add the sheet later on the video description. Now, for her ability priority, we can see here that I have the M12 or Mastery 12, so M3 basic, Mastery 3 basic, Mastery 3 skill, Mastery 3 combo, and Mastery 3 ult. And now we have these, like, what if the basic attack scalings are at rank 9 instead of Mastery 3? So we can see here that we just need to calculate what has the highest dip in damage decrease. So even though that skill has the majority of its contribution of the damage distribution, we should still consider that we should prioritize ult, then skill, then skill can be equal or greater than combo, and lastly basic. Even though basic attacks, you can see here, basic attacks has a lot of damage contribution compared to ult. This simulation assumes that while we are waiting for enough SP, we are using basic attacks to cover for the downtime. And skill here is pretty good because we are assuming hot works, which has a lot of skill damage percent. But later we will see that it might not be a big contribution. Also, considering that the simulations only assumes that we only do one Laevatain enhanced basic skill during her ult, we can safely assume that the damage contribution of skill will be higher once you are actually playing, because simulations differ from actual gameplay. So next, for the team comparisons. So here is the baseline team, and Antal, we replace Akikuri with Antal. And here we replace, and for the Gilberta, we replace Ardelia with Gilberta. So the problem, so while Antal deals more damage, we can see here that on the sims that I've done, I do not start immediately with 200 SP, because in my simulations I do not activate Akikuri ult. So when the simulation ended, Akikuri still has her ult, so she can start her rotation immediately, while Antal still has some 100 SP remaining. So he needs to wait for another like 15 seconds if you do not use N5s or dodging, because you still need to start your rotation all over again with 200 SP. And for Gilberta, she needs some wonky application in order for her to get her for Laevatain to get her combo skill, because she needs combustion or corrosion. So So here is her weird combo. Gilberta skill first, then Laevatain N5. And when it ends, Gilberta skill already has Nature Affliction. Then Akeguri's skill will inflict Combustion. Then Swing through Laevatain will do her normal 5 attack. Then Wolfguard combo since Akeguri's skill inflicted feat. Then Laevatain combo. Then Laevatain normal 5 and Laevatain skill repeat. This assumes that that the enemy is not a singular enemy but a group of enemies. So even though in a singular enemy fashion, this will not generate enough magma stacks for Laevatain, but in two enemies, since Akeguri might hit two enemies with her skill, Laevatain will consume two or more hit stacks, and this is enough for her to get one half of her ult. And for Antal, since we have more combos, you can switch this Tidefall armor for a hot work armor, and we can replace one pyrometer here for a link slab, which resulted in a higher DPS increase than expected. So next, we will have potential calculations, and this is a very big one because we are assuming that at one hand we have a potential 0 Laevatain, and a potential 0 weapon, so it's P0 plus P0, and the difference between this portion and this portion is that as we increase Laevatain's potential, we also increase the potential of her weapon. So we can see here that on the potential 0, we can see here that Hotworks is still on the lead because that's the baseline calculations that we are dealing with right here. These, and this. So what we can see here is the link slab ult rather, the 210% ult catches up because the Zero Night Gloves will be replaced with a Hotwork Gauntlet. And while the Hotworks replaces their armor with what I've mentioned earlier, Hotwork armor and the link slab, at potential 5 it becomes different because the benefits of the ult spam is that while the normal Hotworks and the normal double slab formation has done one ult, at that time frame the 210% ult would have done 2. So the 1.2 times multiplier to the basic attack damage will be much more represented. And from testing, it seems that even at potential 5, you are not the damage contribution of basic attacks are very high, to the point that you can ignore casting her enhanced basic skill during the ult spam and just focus on dealing basic attacks. So while we screen up the potential zeros here, we can see here that at potential 3 Laevatain plus potential 3 weapon, Link Slab is slightly ahead. But on P4 plus P4, since we have now given the ult spam build a lot of damage percent, we can see here that at potential 4 plus 4, it has now overtaken both. And at potential 5 plus 5, we have seen a very notable difference between both of these rather. I'll just calculate, which results in a 10% increase between the Hotwork P5 to the ult spam P5, and a similar increase from the double slab formation P5 to a to 10% ult. Now these are some miscellaneous calculations which in here, even though we don't gain enough energy, you can see here that the three times hot work plus slap on one target might prove better for multiple targets, since we do not care about we don't for a lack of a better term, we have more hit inflictions to consume for Laevatain's Pagma stacks. And here, since we included Cannibal, because there is a lot of hit infliction during Laevatain, ult spam. And there's a lot of, and since we forgo her enhanced basic skill, we can use those extra skill points to use other in-demand abilities like Wolfguard skill. So in the end, what would my recommendation be? Personally, I have an ult spam fully artificed and a hotworks fully artificed. And what can I say is that due to the higher DPS during ult, you can see here, between 210% ult and slab, I would recommend only focusing on hotworks first, because in formats where you can already prepare your energy in advance, the upfront damage that hotwork delivers is better than what double slab and 10% ult offers. And if you're not a person that will eventually get to potential 5+5 Laevatain, or potential 5 at least, you should still stick with hotworks, because there is what I said again earlier, the higher damage ideally per window, and it's just much easier to port these Tidefall armor to other people that also uses main stat intellect and substat strength. Personally, since I have artificed both of these, on daily usage I use this ult spam, because I can get the energy I need from this rotation in just one rotation at a time. So when I'm dealing against a beefier enemy on the overworld, I can just obtain my ult in one rotation compared to two with the double slab formation and the standard 3 times hotworks plus Tidefall armor rotation. So yeah, that's pretty much it from this sheet analysis. I hope you learned something, and I will take my leave. Thank you.